we go. Welcome to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. Very special guest. Has been in my circles for many years now. Victoria Chiang. Victoria, how are you?
I'm great, Lionel. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you were able to join us. I know we've connected through many different circles before, whether it's music or work life, or even on the hip hop scene, depending on who you like to follow. But really, obviously, admire your style and who that you influence. So I know sneakers is obviously, and I can see the picture. And for those that are watching on YouTube, you got some big heated sneakers. I can just tell by the boxes. So maybe you can share with us a little bit about your sneaker style and how you kind of got involved in the sneaker world.
Yeah, of course. I've been a sneakerhead for most of my life, but I think before getting into sneakers, I've always been, since I was a baby, a huge sports fan because of my dad, just watching sports alongside him growing up and learning a lot from him um, really influenced my style. And I think when I was younger, I come from a pretty traditional Chinese household. So, in terms of style, I guess I was kind of hesitant to really showcase my passion for sportswear and sports and athletes through my style. I was a lot more conservative, um, was a little preppy even back in the day. At the back of my head, I really admired like athletes and rappers and everything that they were wearing, but was pretty scared to really experiment until probably I got to college when I was living on my own, moved away from my family for the first time, went to school in Vermont. I felt like I was really on my own to experiment and explore. And that's when I was kind of really making my own decisions in terms of fashion and where I was shopping. And finally, I guess, turning that love for sports and sneakers into my actual wardrobe.
Pretty awesome. So, you say you've been collecting sneakers for a long time, and then, you mentioned athletes. Who are some of those athletes that have kind of inspired you over the years?
I love Westbrook. I know his style can be a little avant-garde, but I love that. I love
Same
when he
here.
pushes the envelope. Um, I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I know he's more of an up and comer on the scene, but he's just been killing it. And I love how the tunnel is like a fashion show nowadays, and that athletes are being recognized off the court. Um, so I would say Russ is probably obviously Chris Paul. I would say like has impeccable, like very more sophisticated style. So he would be another one that has really influenced me.
Yeah, I actually know like one of my coworkers right now. Her fiance is Shai's cousin.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they've been close. Like I see pictures of them. Candace, who I work with very closely here in Toronto. That's her fiance's
Nice.
cousin. So he's got his
He's got so much swag.
yeah, he's got his even his own no flukes, I think is the clothing
Yeah.
line's name. So you've seen
Yeah.
it and he's worn it lots, and he's got heavy sneaker game. So yeah, he's a cool one.
That
And
was a great pickup by Converse.
totally. So, and again, so those are some of the athletes. So if we talk about, some of your favorite sneakers, what would you say? Give us a couple that really kind of stick out in your mind that might be in your collection.
Yes. So it's hard to narrow it down, but I would say some of my top favorite. I mean, I'm a huge New Balance head. So, I mean, my all-time favorite sneaker model is actually the 990 V3s, which are now coming back through the recent Bodega launch. Kith just worked on a V3. They're on the V6 now, but they brought the V3 back because it was such a great model. Um, I would have this. I love the acronym Prestos, the first ones. Um, I love it more even because for the first ones, a lot of people slept on them. Um, it was like such an easy cop, so it was great. And the colors are loud, which I love, and Errolston Hugh, the designers, Asian, so that's an extra bonus for me. And I would have to say I would say my grails, which are the Ben and Jerry's, which I don't know if I'm ever gonna wear, but
Wow, you've got
I
those. Oh man,
I I
holy.
I swore I said that I was gonna retire after I got those, and then I actually got my hands on them. And I was like, maybe I won't, but they're so special just because besides them being exclusive and hype, I have always loved Ben and Jerry. One, because I went to school in Vermont and they're based out of Vermont. Two, because I'm a huge foodie, and I love Ben and Jerry's ice cream. And I actually grew up in an ice cream household. My parents, when they immigrated from Hong Kong, their first job and their job still to this day, they started a Carvel ice cream franchise.
Really?
Yeah, so I grew up on ice cream. And then three, I just love everything that Ben and Jerry's, like their messaging and their values. And since day one, they've always been pushing for change. So a very special shoe to me.
Totally. That again, we think we talked about in the beginning before we even started recording that I would learn a few things or two, and sure enough, we're learning about ice cream and that Ben and Jerry dunk is the grail. Totally makes sense though. Makes tons of sense. So I appreciate you
Love
sharing
food.
that.
Big
Yep.
food person.
Yep. Foodies, I would put myself definitely hand up in the category of being a foodie. You name the cuisine, you name, the ethnic background to it. I'm all about that.
Love it. And you've got some great food over there in
Yep.
Toronto.
And we got the melting pot as we call it here in
Yep.
Toronto. So we got little India, we have little there's a little Chinatown, heavily populated along the Danforth. We have so many Greek restaurants, and then like it just continues to span throughout the city, and obviously a heavy West Indian flavor throughout the city, whether you're Guyanese or you're Trini or
Yep.
you're Jamaican or everything else in between. So
I actually think you guys have the best Chinese food outside of
really,
China.
hmm,
Yeah, I mean, I have family up in Toronto, so I
okay,
visit them every once in a while, and yeah, the food is amazing.
okay, all right. So thanks for the Toronto shout out. I know all my fans in the six, although I have fans now all over the U.S. now, and it's rapidly growing this podcast. But yeah, we definitely like a shout out here in the six. So share a little bit more about your collection. You say New Balance is kind of one of your big staples, along with actually you've mentioned Dunks a little bit. Like, how big is the collection? You need to give us a number. Is it pretty big? Is it semi big?
Um, it's pretty big. Honestly, I've never, once I
Counted?
hit 100, I stopped counting
Yeah, same here.
because I don't want to know.
Yeah,
Um, I would say it probably hovers around the 120 range. Um, Being in New York, though, I'm kind of forced to keep that number relatively tight
yeah,
because of the space.
space.
Yeah. So if I had like all the space in the world, I would probably like be swimming in sneakers, but because I'm in a tiny New York apartment, I've kept it
Yeah,
relatively. I know people are going to be like 120, that's not few at all, but
no,
you understand like
yep,
we could have so many, like there's
yep,
so much great stuff out there, but
yeah.
kept it tight.
Yeah, 120 of the right stuff is the right amount, and many
Yeah,
people will
and
tell
it's
you.
tough for me because I love all brands, and so many different styles. So it's hard for me to pick and choose sometimes,
Yeah,
but I try to get rid of something when I get something. I've been pretty good at that lately, so we'll see if it continues.
yeah, it's a good plan. It's a good plan. So, interesting. You mentioned Ben and Jerry's and just some of their core values and what they stand for. So, in speaking on that, there is obviously a lot of different things that are happening in the world, whether it's violence against Asians, and we've gone through a heavy 2 years of Black Lives Matter. What are some of the things that you are kind of connected to in your own community that you really value as important?
Yeah, I think the rise against Asians recently has definitely hit me hard. I feel like growing up, issues like this were not often talked about within my household, and was often taught to just not make a scene and just do my job and excel at my job and kind of stay in my lane in order to grow, which I've recently realized with the attacks, in addition to Black Lives Matter and a lot of um, racially and socially injustice acts, that no longer can be the norm, especially within the Asian community, because I've talked to a lot of friends and family who have grown up with the same way of thinking. So it definitely has hit home for me recently, and I'm trying my best to utilize the small platform that I do have to make a statement and to show to people that it's not okay to be a bystander, and everyone needs to work better, whether it's small acts within your own community or just simply educating yourself, talking to your peers, getting a sense of what your peers go through, just need to be better.
Yeah, and I think I kind of share some of the same sentiments, and just seeing, obviously what's happened in the world. Although yes, I'm a Black person in North America, and there's lots of things happening, I think can't put myself in, call it a container, and only worry about my own issues. There's other,
Exactly.
we're hearing about the Indigenous here in Canada, that there's been, mass murders and kids being buried, and it's just disgusting. And we're definitely talking about what we're going to do in terms of a social action here in Canada to, just equality with women, and obviously, I've even joined my work group. It's called ARC, and they're definitely, I'm joined as an ally, though I don't identify as Asian. I definitely want to understand the struggle and how can I support. I manage a lot of different people here in Canada, and I really want to be able to support, because we have a significant portion of both our customer internally and then also our customer externally that identify as Asian. And if I can understand and how I can support, I think it's super, super important. So yeah, I think
Right.
you're
Right.
definitely right
Something you
on.
said reminded me. Yeah, sorry. Something you said reminded me of a great line that I heard someone say recently, or a great point, which is you can't pick and choose which acts of discrimination that you want to fight for. It's, in the grand scheme of things, it's all stems from the same system. So it's important not to just fight for your own culture and community. You have to learn about the others around you. You don't live in a bubble.
Totally agree. Again, like it comes down to fighting for what is right and doing the right thing. And if that means you have to get on, call it multiple buses or wagons to help support, whether it's you directly or someone indirectly, you have to. I don't see you being able to pick and choose which battles you're going to fight. Yes, you got to educate and understand what the struggle is, and ensure that you support it, but you got to be open to everything that's happening in the world. So again, that was some heavy conversation. Let's flip the script again, and as we wrap up on shoes, and we're going to talk about a couple
Important
of things.
conversation though.
Very, very important. But we love to play with particular our sneakerheads and sneaker enthusiasts a little segment called Copper Pass. So I'm going to give you a handful of shoes. I'll give you the shoe. You tell me whether you would cop or whether you would pass. So these are all focused on upcoming releases on a variety of different brands. I love Nike, so I love talking about Nike. So we'll start with the launch that keeps getting pushed back. The Jordan 4 White Oreo. Would that be a copper pass for you?
I'm trying not to like over analyze each, because the analyst in me is like, well, from a price perspective, it's
Yeah.
kind of steep, but It's a great looking shoe. I would say fours are my favorite Jordan
Mine
silhouette.
too.
Fun fact. Oh, nice.
Yep. Four
Um,
gang, four
I
gang.
would
Fours are up.
nice, nice. Um, I would have to say pass only because I feel like I wouldn't get a lot of wear out of them because I've been really into like comfort lately.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that one. And not to go too deep into it, when we talk white Oreo, an Oreo is black, a black with a white middle. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's like a faux shoe. They called it the wrong name, and I'm totally off it.
You're
Like,
already thought, yeah, they
yeah,
already
I'm
messed
totally
up.
done. Yeah, you just totally blew it for me. You called it the Blizzard. We could have been talking about it, but it's not the one.
Golden
Anyways,
Oreo, that's a thing.
yeah, could have been. They blew it though. Okay, next up, highly anticipated. We've seen it, a lot of images of it already. The Travis Scott Fragment Jordan 1. If you could get your hands on it, is it a cop or pass?
Definitely a cop.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Travis is one of my favorite rappers, so
Oh,
everything that comes out of
okay.
Travis
We'll
is
have
top.
to get to that later then.
Maybe besides like the 30s or 35s.
Yeah, the third. I think it's the 35. So, um, okay. So another Jordan 1 low that's coming out there. They're going with a low shattered backboard. What are your thoughts? Copper pass.
Though I love the shattered backboards, I would say pass for me just because I have a lot of orange shoes.
Hmm.
Shattered backboards, shattered, the reverse shattered or the 2.0 shattered. So
Yeah.
I think I'm
Okay.
set on the orange.
Gotcha. All right. I see you. The next one is inspired by one of the boxes I see over your shoulder. So they're talking about a taupe haze Jordan 4 Union. Is that a copper pass if you can get your hands on
Yes, that is 100. And if anyone can hook it up, I'm a size
it?
5.5. It's all four things.
Yeah.
Um, I love that colorway.
Yeah.
As soon as it leaked, loved it.
Yeah. Totally fire. So, hey, I got two more for you. So, this one is kind of very different. It is the Jordan 11, but it's the Animal Instinct one made for women. It's got a whole bunch of different prints on it, and some people either love or hate it. So, is it a copper pass for you?
I'm intrigued, but I would have to say pass again on the fact that I probably wouldn't get a lot of wear out of them.
Mhm.
Though I do love animal print. I mean, Atmos, the Air Max 95s are one of my
That's
favorites. But
that's in a whole nother category when we talk about
yeah,
sneakers.
I
So,
think I'm good.
yeah. Okay. So this is prefaced on, I believe you're a golfer. I've seen you golf
Yeah.
at some
How
point.
can you tell?
I saw the polo, but I remember seeing you at the driving range. I've seen you on the course on Instagram. So they've made a lot of Jordan shoes lately. There's a Jordan 4 military blue. Is that a copper pass in a golf
Those
shoe
look
model?
good. Those look good. Definitely a cop. And I'm so happy that they're finally making golf shoes that look good instead of like the saddle shoes that I wore when I was a child.
Yeah.
So definitely a cop.
Okay. So let's flip over to you've mentioned music a couple times. You mentioned Travis Scott. So from your perspective, what do your earlier musical influences look like, and who do you like these days?
Let's see. I mean, my first album ever, actually, well, not first album ever, the first CD that I bought was Get Rich or Die Trying. Fun fact. Behind my parents' back, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like a little Chinese girl, like trying to be a saint and listen to like folk music.
Yeah,
But
rock out to 50. That was what you wanted to do.
exactly. But I mean, I grew up listening to Kanye and Jay-Z. But nowadays, I mean, I've been following Travis's journey since his beginning. Um, but I also I also grew up listening to Lupe, J. Cole, obviously, Kendrick, Migos, Meek, Pusha, Jay, obviously, forgot to mention, Lil Wayne. There's so many great artists out there. I need like a timeline, whiteboard.
Yeah, of where they all fall in. And again, it's easy.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm myself are more of a, call it a golden era. Kind of like 87 to 98 is kind of my wheelhouse. But I've like hip hop continues to evolve and move forward. So, you talk about, Lupe in 2008. I thought I was the biggest Lupe fan in the world. I wanted to ride a skateboard. I listened to
Like to watch
everything that
anime.
anything that came out of his mouth was like gold to me. So, and then
Yeah.
you talk about, where Travis Scott is now, and Canadian, obviously Drake is one of the biggest, if not the biggest
Oh, of
artist in the
course.
world, and et cetera, et cetera. So, and then ever since 2008, even like 2006, like Kanye has been this constant, love him or hate him. There's so many different things that have happened out there in the world, up and down. But we're talking about a guy that's worth like $4 billion and literally has built a career on the premise that no one thought he could do it. No one would give him a chance. No one thought he could rap. And now we're talking about arguably the biggest of all icons when we're talking about celebrity status. Like, he's in his own stratosphere. So
Yeah, and the
totally,
people that he has mentored and brought
yeah,
along with him in the fashion and in music, I feel like a lot of people back in the day, it's almost like a little selfish. It's like
totally.
if yeah, won't necessarily be willing to bring along their friend or their peers, but he's like put them on the pedestal.
So you mentioned some good ones, particularly for, call it the beyond the golden era. I don't know if we have they've actually classified it. No, they call it mumble. Like, there's a mumble rap area, but those guys are not in it. They're all kind of around it. So give me maybe your five favorite
Artists or albums?
artists.
Artists.
Yep. If you want
Oh,
to
I
give me
didn't.
albums, you could give me albums if you prefer to give me albums.
Okay, let's do artists. I would have to say Travis. Been a stan since day one. Forgot to mention this one, but probably pretty, if not tied with Travis, would be ASAP Rocky. A huge ASAP Rocky fan and ASAP Mob in general. Um, I would go with Jay-Z for my top five. I have to go with Ye. Or how many have I named? Four?
That's
Five?
four. That's four.
That's four. Ooh. Um, who gets the fifth spot? Fifth, I'd say J. Cole.
Okay. Yeah, I think J. Cole gets a lot of love. And from the come up and the warm up, I've done my own episode on J. Cole as his own when his most recent album dropped. And I think just to kind of give people a
So
little
good.
time warp and a history, like, I know it like blew up on all streaming sites, and it was like I think it was like four of the top five streaming songs that were out there. So yeah, J. Cole is definitely hitting, and it was perfect timing with another Puma shoe, and then on top of that, he was playing in Africa.
Retirement.
Yeah.
Retirement.
So it's like it's crazy. It's crazy. He's I think that they're still talking about that is currently that's the best album that's out there. I know they're talking about a few other albums that may drop throughout the course of the year, but they're definitely talking about that one. So
Well deserved.
let's pose a couple let's pose several artists head to head, and you tell me who in your eyes, so it's your opinion only, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, who is
Okay,
the
big
better.
disclaimer, this is not factual.
Yeah, this is
Please don't
this is
come
Victoria
after me.
Chang's opinion. So who do you think is the better MC? I'm gonna go through a bunch. So you tell me first instinct. I already kind of know the first one. I don't agree with you because I like the other guy, but the better MC, Nas or Jay-Z?
It's already such a tough one. Jay-Z.
Okay. Uh, this is an interesting one. You mentioned him already. ASAP Rocky or Meek Mill?
Rocky.
Okay. Rick Ross or T.I.?
Rick Ross.
Okay. Dave East or Big Sean?
Davies is a great rapper and lyricist, but Big Sean I think is very underrated. Gonna go with Big Sean.
Okay. Uh, I think of this era, it's Clash of the Titans. J. Cole versus Kendrick Lamar.
That is so tough. Um, man, I gotta give it to J. Cole.
Okay. You're gonna get some comments in the chat, but that's
I
okay. We
know.
we put some stuff out there for people to talk about. Travis or Drake?
Ooh, MC. Man, I might have to give it to Drake. It's too
Okay,
good.
okay,
It's
okay.
too good.
Ghostwrite champ, but that's okay. That's okay. Kanye or Eminem?
Yay.
Okay. Lupe or Logic?
Lupe.
Okay. Nicki or Missy Elliott?
Oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna get some slander for this one too. But I'm gonna have to go with Nicki.
All right, all right. Nicki's got bars. The Baby or Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne.
Okay. Future or Pusha T?
Pusha T.
Okay. Childish Gambino or Chance the Rapper?
Love them both. Have to go with Chance the Rapper.
Okay. SZA or Cardi B?
Also love both, but have to go with SZA.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I would go. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So I would agree a lot of them. You love J. Cole, and I like J. Cole. I just think Kendrick is like this unbelievable person in the world. Like, I think he's absolutely like of the new school or post 2000, I think he's the best artist, period. Like, I think he's like not even gold, he's like platinum. Like platinum with like whatever. Like he's just diamonds in it. He's just incredible.
Lyrically, I can see it.
Yeah.
I think I think J. Cole's range might.
I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a good debate. You can see that I actually thought about who I posed against another person. There was only a few that you could go like this and actually choose one versus another. You
Yeah,
had to think
those
about it.
were really tough.
Yeah.
Except for the Lupe Logic one.
Yeah. And I like Logic. I just like the first album. Like everything else, I'm not that big of a fan. But I love the first Under Pressure. I love the album. But
Okay, I can see that.
Lupe, like granted, Under Pressure is not better than any probably three albums that Lupe has put out, but Under Pressure is really good. But
Right.
like
We got
Kate
to we
Bush,
gotta look at the losses too.
oh well, let's not get into the losses because
Oh, poor
on
Logic.
top of his girlfriend slash fiance, there's a lot of L's in the world of Logic, so it's all good. L stands for Logic. Anyways,
Ouch.
as we wrap up, and sorry as I'm dissing Logic, and again, I still like Under Pressure. I play it all the time. It's in the rotation. It's just that album though, nothing else. Give us your top five albums, or just some of your favorite albums that come to mind to make this one easier, because I put you through the grinder just recently.
Some of my all-time favorite albums. Birds in the Trap by Travis. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is my all-time favorite Kanye album. I'd have to say the Black Album,
It's my favorite
which I
Jay-Z
think
album.
is the best Jay-Z album.
It is better than Reasonable Doubt.
You agree?
Totally.
I think I've had this
Totally.
debate so many times in my life, but I'm glad I have another person on my side.
Yeah.
And I would say Long Live ASAP. Such a good album.
Yeah, that's a good one. Hey, so I think as we just wrap up, I know that you've had a career change, which is very unique to have in the middle of a pandemic. And we don't need to know where you left and where you've gone to, but more importantly, like how difficult was that to do in this COVID environment? Maybe you could give us your perspective of those job seekers that are looking to jump ship that are out there.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult. I mean, interviews via Zoom or phone aren't exactly especially for me, I feel like I connect with people in person a lot better than on the phone. I feel like I'm a lot more bubbly in person. So making sure I conveyed that virtually in the beginning was difficult, which I then got accustomed to. And then transitioning, just meeting new people and making new friends virtually, definitely hard. Those like, I guess, um, conversations that are spontaneous, that when you see somebody in the hallway or in the kitchen or in the bathroom at the office, and that kind of sparks friendships that doesn't exist anymore, but hopefully soon, is difficult. But I guess the bright side is that shouldn't be much longer until we're all back in person.
Yeah, we'll get there in due time. So it's amazing you had the courage to take a huge leap of faith and move on to some, new pastures. But I'm sure that as talented as you are, it's all gonna work out just fine for you. So I think just in closing, I know that I'm sure you've sparked a lot of people say, oh, she's a foodie. How do I find out what she likes? And she loves ice cream, and this is like ice cream season. How do people find you
Every season has ice cream season, Lionel. But
other than
yes,
my wife would
the peak ice cream
disagree.
season.
Yeah, my wife would disagree. It's not the winter. It's too cold. But ice is like, you just don't eat in the cone. You just eat in the bowl if you're gonna eat it, and you can eat
Yeah,
it
you
in the
turn
home.
yeah.
So where do we find you on Instagram or any other social media platform?
Yes, you can find me at Wu Tang Chang on Instagram and Ni Hao Victoria on Twitter. And I do post a lot about sneakers and food and sports and hip hop. So let's chat and connect.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks so much, Victoria, for sharing. Now we can't really end this without now addressing the elephant in the room, which is your Instagram handle. How did you come up with Wu Tang Chang as your Instagram handle? When I heard that this is what your handle was, I was like, is she a Wu head? Like, who's her favorite member? And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that I'm sure that our guests will be, how you chose it. I'm dying to hear, so I'm all ears. You got to tell me.
I hope pleasantly. I think I'll disappoint a lot of people. But it was rather spontaneous. I'm not the biggest Wu-Tang fan. I'm so sorry if I hurt any feelings.
It's all good.
But that nickname came from college. I DJ'd at a lot of parties actually. Occasionally Wu-Tang was in my playlist, but I was also part of a co-ed fraternity, and one of my brothers kind of like just one night, like when I was DJing, shouted Wu-Tang Chang, and then it kind of stuck. And yeah, that's how I got it. So kind of
So
connected, but
yeah, semi-connected, which is good. But again, there's always a story, and someone gave you your nickname, and it stuck this long and until this very day. So pretty amazing for you to share. Some of my listeners, I'm sure, just fell off the chair and they said, "Oh my gosh." So her name is Wu Tang Chang on Instagram, but she's not a Wu Tang head. She's a semi Wu Tang head, guys. So let's cut her some slack. It is what it is.
yeah.
I think it's a very cool name. Has such a memorable name to it, and you can't. There's no way you can't remember it. But Victoria, thanks so much for your time. This has been a ball. I've learned so much more about you now. Again, I wish you all the best in your new endeavors, and again, thanks so much for being on Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity, Lionel. It was great to connect with you, and
Yeah.
it's been really fun.
Yeah, I know there's lots of basketball. You can see WNBA shirt. I'm a big fan
Love it.
of the league. Obviously, we got the NBA playoffs happening. So, although basketball season should be kind of coming to an end, it's like in full swing. The Olympics are around the corner, and yeah, baseball's swinging now. And before we know it, football season will start again. So, although we've been
All
in a
right.
pandemic for the last little while, things are looking up and up. You got a NBA Finals prediction?
I mean, I did, but Kawhi's injury kind of threw a wrench in everything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with my boy Devin Booker and the Suns.
Oh, so long as this series that's still going with the Clippers and the Jazz can go a little longer. It does not help that Chris Paul went into, and you mentioned Chris Paul earlier, that he's gone now into COVID protocol because he's tested positive. So hopefully sooner rather than later he can be back, because we know he's the engine that kind of stirs that thing, although Booker is kind of the go-to scorer. So we'll have to see how it goes. They still have a great chance to, all things considered. Chris Paul comes in like a superhero with a big S on his chest, and he saves the series, and they head to the finals. And I don't think any team wants to play the Suns at full strength. So I think it'll be very, very interesting. I could
Yeah,
easily
you
see
never
a
know.
Suns and Brooklyn Nets if they can keep their superstars healthy enough, but they're playing like with one and a half guys right now. Harden went out there yesterday and did not look like himself. And we know Kyrie just
Yeah, I
had a
mean he's busy
baby,
running
bad ankle.
the Saks empire now. So
Yeah, totally. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. My beloved Knicks made it to the playoffs, but they're already out, but that's okay. There's a
it's
lot of
okay.
basketball
That
to
was a
watch.
win.
Yeah, that was a win because they were supposed to win 20 games this year and 141 and made the playoffs. So that for New Yorkers and people like me that don't live in New York then love the Knicks, it's a win. But again, Victoria, thanks so much. Appreciate all the combo. We'll definitely stay in touch. And
For
this
sure.
was a lot of fun.
It was a blast. Thanks, Lionel,
Okay.
again.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.